Hello friends, welcome back to Dnyanadeep Academy's UPSC answer writing program. Today we'll be discussing a question. Looking at the question, you might think this is from geography, but actually this question is from paper 3 under the section environment. The question is about coastal erosion. I'll read the question and then we'll go to the locus and focus of the question. The question says, explain the causes and effects of coastal erosion in India. What are the available coastal management techniques for combating the hazard? Now, in this question, it's quite easy to understand the locus and focus of the question. The question particularly speaks about coastal erosion in India. The other important parts are the causes of coastal erosion and the effects of coastal erosion in India, and what are the management techniques to deal with this hazard. Okay, so automatically the focus of the question becomes the causes and effects of coastal erosion in India. And the second focus is the available coastal management techniques for combating the hazard. And the locus of the question is the coastal erosion in India. Now, though when you start the answer, you'll have to write about coastal erosion, but you'll have to mind your words. We just cannot go on and on writing about coastal erosion here. Now, let's start the question with introduction. So in introduction, let's try to make it different. Now, because the question is about coastal erosion, the first thing is important that you'll have to mention what coastal erosion is. And the second most important part is you will have to give facts and figures which prove the question, which supports the question. Okay. So I have 4 different points here which will help you write a good introduction. So obviously the first part of the question will be what is coastal erosion. Okay, so you can define briefly what coastal erosion is. It is wearing away of land and removal of beach sediments by high winds, drainage, wave action, and so many other geographic phenomena or factors. So this is the definition of coastal erosion. Now this is fine. This makes a good introduction. But along with this, you need to mention some facts and figures. Now I have 3 different figures here. First is given by Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change. Okay, it says that 40% of India's coastline is subjected to high, medium or low coastal erosion. This supports your question. The other facts is National Center for Coastal Research from 1990 to 2016 has found out that 33% of India's coastline has witnessed erosion already. And the third important aspect is, according to Ministry of Earth Sciences, 33% of India's coastal line or coastline is subjected to coastal erosion. Now, you can mention any one of these 3. I'm not asking you to put all the 3 facts and figures in the introduction. This will no longer be an introduction if you write so many points into it. So, the definition of this coastal erosion and any one of these points will go a long way in supporting the question, and it will make a point there. Okay. Now, in the next part of the question, that is the body, the first focus in this question is what are the causes of coastal erosion in India. Okay, you don't have to forget this word. Okay, it is specifically in India. Now, the causes can be divided into 2 different headings. First is the natural causes, and the second are anthropogenic or man-made causes. Okay, I've given a lot of points here. You can always prioritize depending on the word limit of the question. Here we are supposed to write 250 words for 15 marks. So I think 4 points of each of these will be sufficient in this question. So you have cyclones, which is a very common reason in India for coastal erosion. Then you have persistent low pressure areas or increased wave activity because of the low pressure. Then you have sea level rise. This you can, put at the last. Then you have storm surges and tsunami. I think these are the 4 important points that you should prioritize in natural causes. In anthropogenic or man-made causes, you have so many, but again, though I've put it at last, I think this should be the most important point: removal of mangroves and coastal vegetation. Okay, mangroves are said to be the first line of defense against coastal erosion and also natural hazards. So I think this is the most important. Then you have dredging, you have sand mining, coral mining, construction of river dams upstream, which is actually bringing a break into this coastal lines. Then global warming induced mean sea level rise. Okay, so according to the need of the question, you can prioritize your points. I've given extra points here, but you can put the points which are necessary according to the question. The second focus of the question is effects of coastal erosion. What are the effects of coastal erosion? Now, this is comparatively a easier point, right? So here the most important is loss of habitat. Okay, when we say we are losing mangroves, we are losing coastal vegetation, we are also losing habitat. Okay, so there's destruction of mangroves in Godavari Delta. Now, this is, I think, how you should, try to find examples for substantiating your points. Okay, for every point, I want you to have examples from India. If the question is from India and if the question is global, you can always find such examples. Okay, so there's loss of habitat in Godavari Delta. Then you have destruction of coral reefs due to silting. Then mixing of salt water with coastal aquifers. Okay, then loss of livelihood for coastal communities, because if there's erosion, that's going to hamper their livelihood status. And loss of tourism opportunity is also one important point. And reduced capacity to face natural hazards like tsunami. Now, this is direct outcome of this, losing mangroves and the coastal vegetation. Okay, so these are all the effects of coastal erosion in India. Now, the third part, what are the available coastal management techniques for combating these hazards? Now, here you can have soft engineering options or hard engineering options. I don't want to make it sound more technical, so I'll be giving you straightforward points. The most important here is habitat restoration. Okay, if you're losing the vegetation, the first step that we can do is put it back again. Okay, so restoration of the habitat, the lost habitat. Then there's beach nourishment. Now, beach nourishment is actually replenishing the beaches with sands. Okay, the third important is building seawalls. This is hard engineering option, building seawalls. Okay, then you have coastal management through legal mechanisms, like we have coastal regulatory zones, then we have economic sensitive zones. So you can mention all these as well. Then you have, like I said, if you want to write your answers in two different approaches, then you have hard engineering options like building seawalls and groins, and soft engineering options such as beach restoration. So I don't think so this is necessary here. Just for your information, I've given this point here, but these many points also will suffice. Okay, now the last part of the question is the conclusion. Now, how you're supposed to conclude? Then you should be putting more focus on the problem in the conclusion, I think, and also trying to give a solution how we can overcome the problem. Now, India's long peninsular region constantly battles erosion. We have more than 7,000 kilometers of coastline, which is always under this impact. The developmental activities are often carried out without clear understanding of coastal dynamics. So developmental activities along the coast actually is one prominent or main reason for coastal erosion. And hence, development activities must be in line with an atlas. This is again very important. Wherever possible, we are trying to quote or put those agencies, reports, policies of the government. So, developmental activities must be in line with an atlas of coastal vulnerability index that is published by INCOIS. Now, INCOIS is an important agency located in Hyderabad. Okay. So this agency or this institute has come up with the atlas for coastal vulnerability index, and our developmental activities should be according to this atlas. Okay, so this I think makes a very good end to the question. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.